Hello, welcome to LJ's Underboob Hour, God Eater. How great and edgy of a name is that? This is the remake of the original God Eater, and its expansion sequel thing, God Eater Burst on the PSP, developed by Shift and published by Bandai Namco. God Eater is a series of anime monster hunting games similar to Monster Hunter, except with the main difference of having a faster and more mobile combat system. I discovered this series back when I was getting into the monster hunting genre. I tried getting into Monster Hunter with 3 Ultimate, but the gameplay didn't grab my dick as tight as I hoped. Being the weeb that I am, I heard about the anime adaptation of God Eater. Then I discovered that it's a Monster Hunter type game, found out God Eater 2 Rage Burst was coming to PC and it comes with a remake of the first game. I bought it day one and I was balls deep in it. It's been a few years since then, so I want to go back to memory lane a bit. Also, I noticed there's a lack of anime games lately and I want to make up for that, so here's more weeb stubs. God Eater Resurrection is a remake of a PSP game on the engine of a PS Vita version of its sequel, which is also a PSP game. What I'm trying to say is the graphics is that of a remastered handheld game, so don't expect too much. They look fine, they're obviously outdated. The character models are low poly and the animations are kinda stiff, but that doesn't really take away anything from the experience. The character designs are cool, especially the clothing. Very anime looking and some lewd even for the dudes. There are different locations you go for missions. While there's not a lot of variety, they do look distinct from each other and look cool enough. The origami monster designs look cool as well. They're based on gods from many religions and they are fierce. For example, blackface, woman, skull scorpion, and worst of all, monkey. I'm not kidding either, I'll get to the monkeys later. Each monster not only has different variants, but also different movesets along with them, so it's at least a bit less repetitive when fighting them again. The game itself runs fine. I never encounter any issues besides a mouse cursor blinking for no reason sometimes and frames dropping in cutscenes occasionally, but they're minor issues that won't distract you from playing the game. The voice acting is okay. There's only an option for English voices, and I usually stick with the original Japanese voices for anime games, so I'm not a fan of that. The English dub just reminds me of the 4Kids anime dubs on TV when I was a kid. It's very exaggerated, and sometimes the voice direction is kinda weird. I know from experience from watching and playing dub media over the years that these things are never perfect, and I don't blame anyone for these issues anymore. It's hard to get right. I just wish the game had the option to choose the voice language. I don't usually talk about the music in games since I'm not as knowledgeable in music as gameplay or graphics, but I have to say the music in this game is beautiful. It's grand, epic, melancholy, and sometimes a combination of all that. And it works! Every time I go into battle, a badass symphony orchestra plays. After a happy story event happens, I come home to base to a beautiful violin track in the background. Something sad comes to fuck, God and man is there to make me cry. Definitely one of my favorite soundtracks in anything ever. Shit gets loud for no reason on certain occasions though. Oh, she wanna talk to me. Alright, holy fuck! At the start of the game, you'll need to make a character. There are a decent amount of faces, hairstyles, and voices to choose from, along with some accessories. There aren't a lot of clothing options at the start, but it does get more varied and pimped out as you play the game. I would have preferred to just pick what I want at the beginning, but this can act as an incentive to keep playing, looking cooler and becoming more powerful as you play. The gameplay is simple. You take a mission from the front desk, select your party members, and walk out to the gate to kill some origami. To progress the story, you sometimes have to walk around the base to talk to people, but mainly you'll be doing missions. Alright, the bread and butter, the combat, has to be good in a monster hunting game, and it's good here, for the most part. You have a melee and a ranged weapon at all times, so you can switch between them depending on the situation you're in. And there's a variety of weapon types to choose from. I went with a one-handed sword and a sniper rifle since I like to go fast and dangerous, just like my. You also have this devour move, which is awesome. You unleash this big beast mouth to take a bite of the origami and gain burst, which buffs you with skills you can install into your equipment and get extra materials from dead enemies. At the end of a mission, you get to choose a character to help you boost the quality or quantity of rewards you get, like materials and skills. Basically kill monsters, get materials to make better weapons, and kill bigger, faster monsters. Simple, clean. The controls on PC are kinda shit. The mouse is basically mapped with a thumbstick on a controller. While that's fine during melee combat, when you try to aim with your gun, it feels awful. The key for running is the same key for switching weapons, so I accidentally switch weapons when I just want to run sometimes. The key to interact is the same key for dodging, so when I want to pick something up, I end up dodging instead. And no, you can't separate those functions. Now I bet a lot of you are saying, well, just use the controller, it's better with one for games like this anyway. Listen here, you little shit. What if a PC game gets ported to consoles and you need a mouse and keyboard to play that shit? People would go mad. Why is it acceptable on PC and not consoles? I don't care if it doesn't play well on a mouse and keyboard. At least make it work. Make the key bindings remappable. Make the mouse move like an actual mouse and not a thumbstick. I can't even count on my 2 hands and 1 cock how many PC ports, especially from Japan, that doesn't even have basic PC features from the late 1990s. To Japan's credit, they have been getting better over the years, but man, does it feel like the damage has already been done. Anyway, it's bearable, but not good. Fighting the origami is hype as fuck. Each type of origami has its own movesets, so learning them is mandatory to survival. There's a decent variety of origami to fight, but not enough to last the game's 33+ hour story, I feel. Even though it's repetitive, it never felt boring. You're constantly on the move, dodging and attacking, and it's fast and engaging. You can break the origami's limbs for extra damage and material bonuses. So the game is split into multiple difficulties, making the origami hit harder and faster as the difficulty gets higher. The game mixes up the usual origami encounters by doubling, tripling, even quadrupling the amount of enemies, which becomes chaotic, messy, and almost impossible to manage because you and your party are essentially getting gangbanged up the ass. And it gets worse when it's a shitty combination of hard to kill origami, like those golden monkeys. Another thing that's rare but equally as annoying is later on the game increases the speed of an origami by 2 or 3 times, making it ridiculously hard to read and dodge their attacks. When that shit happened, I almost gave up. I had to brute force it with healing items and everything, and by the end of the mission, I feel tired. It's good that the game makes you feel like you're surviving incredibly fucked up situations, but those types of missions just makes my play session short because I know I'll be mentally exhausted by the end of it. Whether that's a good thing or not, depends on the player. I personally think it's a bit much, but I know others can get a thrill out of it. My advice, equip as many defense related skills on your equipment as possible, upgrade your equipment as soon as you can, especially your shield, and be in burst mode as often as you can because some skills only activate when you're in burst mode. You're gonna need it. Overall, the gameplay is fun, gets ridiculous by the end, but it's still an enjoyable ride when you go in with your anus prepared. Alright, I will now talk about the story, so skip to this timestamp if you don't want to get spoiled. The story is fine, it's your standard anime friendship teamwork kind of thing. It starts off with you, a new type God Eater, receiving their God Arc, the main weapon of God Eaters. Slowly you get introduced to the game's characters / party members, and learn what they're about. Koda is the funny man of the group, Lindo the mentor dude man who gets all the titties, Sakuya the kind-hearted older sister of the group, Alyssa the tsundere kinda serious, strict girl, and last but not least Soma, professional tsundere and asshole. He's actually a nice guy. The game is set in a post-apocalyptic world where these creatures called origami came out of nowhere and started devouring everything. Everything is wrecked except for a corporation called Fenrir that made God Eater tech to fight off the origami and took over the world. At the Far East branch of Fenrir, the branch you work for in the game, Director Johannes is putting together a safe haven for all the remaining humans on Earth called the Aegis Project. To make sure it's successful, he needs materials from origami, and that's where you and your team comes in. Then shit happens. One day on a mission, Alyssa and Lindo encounters a privy mata, and Alyssa gets scared shitless. Turns out that her parents were killed by a Deus Pita when she was young and have been scared of anything that's shaped like one ever since. Lindo is having trouble fighting the thing, but Alyssa couldn't help and even starts pointing her gun at Lindo while having flashbacks of what seems like brainwashing. Alyssa got out with some PTSD and Lindo is presumably dead, and everyone goes back to base sad as fuck, especially Sakuya. When you visit Alyssa in the infirmary, you see her sleeping, but after you touch her hand, because sure, a resonance happens that lets you see into her memories and wake her up from a deep sleep. Okay, so resonance is this thing where you just touch something and you can see memories, I guess. So yeah, keep that in mind. Later on, you resonate with Alyssa again to see that not only was she brainwashed to kill Peter, but also to kill Lindo, which is kinda fucked up, but we'll get back to that later. Alyssa eventually gets out of bed and you help her with some missions. She thanks you and her previous distant and uptight demeanor becomes more calm and friendly. Character development. While grieving over Lindo's death, Sakuya remembers a hint he gave about beer. She checks the fridge to find a data disk, but she can't access it without Lindo's bracelet. Alyssa comes in to cheer up Sakuya and they both chug a whole cup of hot coffee. What the hell? This scene wasn't out of the ordinary, but I had to mention it just because of that small detail. On your way to the director's office one day, Dr. Sakaki, the base's head scientist man, accidentally drops a disc for you to pick up. Inside the disc contains videos of an experiment the director worked on. The experiment turned out to be Soma, who was actually the director's son. He was experimented with origami cells and turned into the first God Eater, but it came at the cost of his mother's life. That's why you sometimes hear people call him a monster, and why he's pissed off all the time. Once in a while, a white girl thing is seen hiding and she seems to be attracted to Soma. Later, the team brings the girl home. It turns out that she's actually an origami in humanoid form, which is rare, but it's also an important message. So far, the appearances of the origami we've seen are of gods from various religions, but never a human. The game has a theme about defying gods or something similar to that. The origami take the form of gods, or any form that seemed ideal for survival, to devour humans, but here is an origami in humanoid form that doesn't kill humans. So if it implies that humans are ideal for survival, then maybe even in the face of gods, humans might have a chance to fight back. I like that message. Survive the impossible, defy all odds, finding a ray of hope in this ruined world. It's somewhat profound. I don't know what that word means. Anyway, the group named the girl Shio, because apparently she's already been named Shio? By who? We'll never find out. She probably just said Shio out of fucking nowhere. Shio is a bit of a dumb, but she eventually learns how to talk, so she's not dumb. This demonstrates just how fast an origami can evolve. Everyone gets along with Shio, but Soma is pissed once again because he sees a bit of himself in Shio. One day Shio breaks out of the base because she doesn't want to wear clothes, so the team goes to find her. Soma tracks her down and they reach an understanding, and now they get along. Character development. Few missions later, the director summons you to his office for a secret mission, but says he's saving it for later. We get news of a signal from Lindo's bracelet and the gang goes to take revenge. Now in possession of the bracelet, Sakuya looks at what's in Lindo's beer disc. So we know about the Aegis project and how it's supposed to be a thing that keeps humanity safe and shit. Turns out that it's a front for another project called the Ark. The Ark project is the migration of all humans into a spaceship colony. The director realized that the Aegis project would eventually be attacked again and they would go back to square one, so he decided to give up on it to focus on a more permanent solution, the Ark project. He created this thing called the Nova that would devour the world and reset it while having some people handpicked to survive. Lindo found out about all this, so I guess this is the reason why Alyssa was brainwashed to kill him. Anyway, Shio goes missing again. The director finally tells you about the secret mission he wants you to do. You are to go with Soma to kill a creature for its core that's integral for the Aegis project. That creature is Shio. When you get to her, she sings a song that Soma calls the Song of Parting, and that's why she's afraid? I don't know what that's about. Then Shio glows and faints. Next, Sakuya goes to where the Aegis project is to confront the director. Before she gets shot, Alyssa shows up because she had a hunch Sakuya would go there to look for shit, and saves her. After some talking with the director, the brainwashed scientist man pops up to reveal that Alyssa was also brainwashed to kill Sakuya too. What? What does Sakuya have to do with this situation? Well, I guess like she's related to Lindo somehow, but fuck. You gotta make sure all the holes are plugged, I guess. She shoots a recovery bullet at Alyssa and teleports out of there. What the fuck? How? And what do you mean recovery bullet? Was there some lore I missed about recovery bullets teleporting you to places? Sakuya and Alyssa are now in hiding, but makes a quick call to let everyone know what happened. Everyone's obviously mad about abandoning the planet and therefore oppose this project. Except for Koda. He has a family to protect and they were giving tickets to board the Ark, so understandably he took the offer. Koda goes to visit his family in the slums, telling them about the tickets, but in the end, his conscience got the best of him and decides to help his friends instead. Alright, it's almost the end of the first story arc. Sakuya and Alyssa comes back to base to look for another way back to the Ark since the main one is fucked now. Koda comes back to lead them to a hidden elevator to the Ark that he found while he was slacking. They go down, the director is still kinda evil, but you can't really blame him for seeing the world the way he does with fucked up shit happening everywhere. Anyway, he captured Shio, feeds her to the Nova, and hops into this origami that he may or may not have made. It wasn't clear. Also, there's like a naked woman casually sitting on the thing. Like, never mind, it's an anime game. You kill the thing, and as soon as the Nova is ready to devour the world, Shio took control and flies it into the moon, preventing a disaster from happening, and they live happily, and they lived ever after. The end. That was the original story arc of the game, and it's okay. Most of the main characters have defined personalities with motivations that drives them, while others don't have much going on for them. But I like them all anyway since I spent so much time with them, kinda like with some people in real life actually. The overall plot is epic and grand and gets kinda ridiculous by the end, but it's overall entertaining. One thing I didn't like very much was how early they fucked off Lindo. He's gone way too early for me to care, which is like half the point of the arc. Like, we know he's a Joker man, he gets the titties, and a good mentor, but that's about it. Let the players know him better first. What are his personal goals? What are his relationships with the people around him? I didn't even know he was dating Sakuya until she just suddenly says she loves him at some point. Anyway, let's move on to Burst. The story gets kinda slow in this arc. Usually there's a story cutscene after every mission or two, but now its cheeks are more spread out and that kinda ruins the pacing a bit. It just doesn't feel like you're progressing as much. Anyway, Lindo is alive, his arm is all origami-like now, which is pretty badass. I know Sakuya's gonna have a great time with it. On Aegis Island, where you fought the director, the Nova scattered its cells all over the place when it flew off into the moon, so there's origami everywhere now, and Soma gets sent to deal with it. The home base gets attacked by origami, but your weapon is broken. You go to the armory to see Lika, the engineer, is under attack, so you grab Lindo's sword. The thing is, you're not supposed to use anyone's god arc except your own, so your body gets fucked, and you start seeing shit. Before the origami tail whips you, a god eater comes to the rescue, Ren. Throughout the game, you're giving small hints that Ren is not actually there in person, but rather a manifestation of your mind resonating with Lindo's weapon. As you can guess now, Ren is actually Lindo's god arc. You see Lindo's memories after his fight with Deus Pita. His bracelet broke and he's infected with origami cells, I guess. He looks sick as fuck, but was helped by Shio coincidentally enough. It didn't do much though since he turned into an origami, a Hannibal, which is one of the harder origami to fight in the game. I gotta mention this somewhere since it's so ridiculous. At some point you fight an origami at Aegis Island, and when it pops up, holy fuck! You see that shit? Why are the titties so huge? It even has nipples! This game is rated T for teen and it has this shit in it? And look! Those titties are armored! They're armored titties in this video game. Damn! Anyway, why is Ren here? She's... Okay. He's here to motivate you to kill Lindo. Ren knows that Lindo is suffering and the only way to stop that suffering is to die. The most likely candidates to end that pain is you and your teammates. Ren knows how painful it'll be to kill a friend, so he's here to convince you. So you find Lindo, but you can see that he's still in the origami body. You refuse to kill him because power of friendship.
I refuse to let you run away from living. You hear me? That's an order, Lindo.
Wait, they can talk? What the? Throughout the whole game, the MC doesn't speak a damn word besides cheesy lines at the end of missions. Now they talk? Cool. Anyway, you slice Lindo's origami body open and resonate with his human one. You go inside Lindo's mind and it looks all trippy and shit. You do some missions in there and finally fight alongside Lindo against his origami body. With the help of Ren, Lindo escapes death with mind magic. They go home, Lindo gets married to Sakura, and they lived happily ever after. The end. But not really. The first arc is just there to wrap up loose ends with Lindo. I like that Ren is not really there mindfuck, but other than that, there's not much to say really. Again, this could have been so much more impactful if we got to know Lindo more. Instead it says, oh yeah, Lindo's still alive, go save him. Overall, the story wasn't paced the best. If the story was told at the same rate as the first arc, then it would have been like 2 or 3 hours instead of 8. Still, it's a decent conclusion to the story, except it's not the end. The final arc, Resurrection, is the actual conclusion to the game. There's another Nova that's trying to devour the world and you have to track it down and kill it. Your weapons no longer work on it because the thing absorbs so much origami meat that it becomes immune to whatever it ate. And as we know, God Arcs are made of origami parts, so your attacks have the attributes of that origami. Since the Nova ate a bunch of shit, it's also immune to a bunch of shit. To counteract that, you have to find rare origami to skin and make weapons with, which is a great reason for these new, cooler looking origami to appear. Over the course of the arc, ghostly images of Shio would appear to help you. Turns out that the fragments from the first Nova that was scattered everywhere can spawn ghost Shios. When you touch one of them, you see parts of her memory. It's cool and all, but she's just kinda there as plot armor for the characters, popping up to save them in the nick of time. So of course you eventually fight Nova number 2, and it's one of the harder fights in the game. That thing fucked up my whole team and I had to take it on my own at the end. So at the end, the MC talks again, you kill the thing, watch Shio on the moon after the credits, and that's it, the end. At least for me. There's still missions to do after the arc ends, but I rage quit after seeing 4 golden monkeys on the screen at once. My body refuses to live through that shit again, man. Like, those things have armor everywhere except the head. So unless you have a hammer or a buster sword to break the armor, you're basically fucked, or you're gonna be stuck there for a while. But anyway, overall the Resurrection arc is fan service. You see all the characters again, and the story is the first story arc all over again except without the evil director man. The cutscenes are well done as well, especially the fight scene here. While it's not a necessary conclusion, it is a fun one. Overall, the story is what you would expect from an anime game like this. There's a lot of weird shit, friendship powers, philosophy talks that ends up going nowhere or just seem to be taken too seriously. It's so bizarre sometimes, but that's part of the appeal in these games, so you decide if that sounds like something that's for you. The story is also kinda scattered. You have Lindo and Sakura's relationship, Alyssa's past, Soma and Shio. All of these are shown a bit at a time, one after another until they're done. And that's a bit hard to follow at times. Like, here's a bit of Alyssa, whoa, now it's Sakura, oh, now it's Soma. It's all just fine to me. I watch enough anime to the point where not much really surprises me anymore, so your mileage may vary. Fuck, I need to get a life. God Eater Resurrection is a good game. The gameplay is fun and engaging. It's repetitive at times, but never boring, for me at least. The difficulty does get a bit ridiculous at the end though. The music is fantastic, the story is okay, it's your standard fighting anime plot with friendship and philosophy. It's got some good characters and some not as good, but story overall is not a big deal in a game like this. You're here to whack monsters, grind for better gear, and fight more powerful, faster monsters, and you get that. I bought this at full price and I still think it was worth it. You can get this along with God Eater 2 Rage Burst for like 15 bucks on sale, so that's hella worth. Damn, that was a trip. I gotta admit, even though it was fun, I'm a bit drained on God Eater, so before going into God Eater 2, for the next review, it'll be something completely different. Do you like God Eater? Do you like the video? I would love to hear what you think, so please leave a comment and remember to dislike and unsubscribe. Please don't leave me. Anyway, see you next time. Later.